Hi, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. We're so thrilled that you're here and taking the time out of the busy holiday season to join Carole Bumpus and myself and learn about this amazing trip through Italy, where you're going to not only see the sights, but taste and smell everything. So I am going to introduce my colleague here, Carole Bumpus, who is a culinary travel writer and award-winning author, and has written many books that have gotten many awards. But the one that we are working with to create this trip is A September to Remember. So Carole, welcome to our webinar.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me. This is going to be fun.
So I'm gonna start. We'll go through a PowerPoint slide, and what we'll do is go through day by day so you can understand how the trip is going to work and everything that you will see and do. And please put questions in the chat, and we will leave time at the end to go over and answer your questions. So I am going to take a moment to share my screen and we'll get started. Okay, so the name of this trip is A September to Remember, and it's based on Carole's wonderful book. Hang on one second, I have one little technical difficulty here. Okay, can you see my screen?
I can, yes.
Okay, great. Sorry for that, everyone, but sometimes we have these little problems. So September to Remember. You may or may not, some of you may or may not know me, Sandy Lipkowitz. I do own Travel, We Make Travel Easy. And one of the things that I've always said is that some of the most extraordinary experiences you'll ever have when you're traveling are when you least expect it. And I know there's going to be many moments like that on this trip. If you don't know us, I want you to feel assured that we are a very well known and awarded company. I'm on the Condé Nast Top Travel Specialist list for 2023. We're part of Forbes Recommended. We're Virtuoso. I'm part of the Virtuoso Culinary Travel. So you are in wonderful hands, and you'll have a great time on this trip. Here's a little background on Carole. This is the book, if you haven't read it, that Carole wrote that we're basing this trip off of. Carole, do you want to tell us a little bit of some of the awards that you've won, so people will get to know a little bit more about you and the wonderful things that you do?
Well, I've ended up winning national and international awards for the books, sometimes for whether it was the food, so it was even listed as a cookbook, or as a memoir, of which it is. It is a memoir with recipes at the back. But I wanted to point out that the name of our tour is A September to Remember, but it's based on the book as Searching for Culinary Pleasures at the Italian Table. And so you're going to be coming along with me to Italy, and we're going to retrace some of those very same steps. So I'm excited about it. You get to do more things than we did when my husband and I went a number of years back, but aren't we going to have fun together?
Those extraordinary moments are waiting for everyone. Okay, so you will leave the United States on September 8th. I'm sorry, you will leave the United States on September 7th, and you will arrive in Milan on September 8th. And depending on when your flights, we don't know what time of the day, we'll get you at the airport, take you to your lovely hotel in Milan, the Sina della Ville Hotel, and you can see what a nice, lovely room. And also, if the weather's perfect, you might want to relax by the pool and enjoy some of the scenery until we get started. So here we are. It says day 2, but it's really day 1 of the adventures that you will experience in Milan. So Carole, tell us a little bit about what this day will be like.
So let me just back up a quick second, because I want you to know that when I first arrived in Milan, the reason that my husband and I took this trip in the first place is because a woman who was a friend from San Francisco was renting out a house in Tuscany, and we'd never been to Italy. And she leaned forward to us and said, "Do you want to visit Italy, or do you want to experience her?" Well, the moment she said that, we sat back in our chairs and decided this was going to be a trip of a lifetime, of which it was. And I want you to come along. And Milan was the very first place that we landed. And so it's a good place to begin. And some of the iconic sites, like it says, like the Duomo, is just an incredible place to visit, and inside and out and upstairs, clear up on the roof. You wouldn't expect it, but that's where you see, I think there's like 133 spires and 3,400 statues that are right there on the roof that you cannot see from the ground because it's so far up. And so that's kind of a fun thing. Now, across the street from that is the Galleria Vittorio Emanuele. And that's where, that was one of the very, very first malls in Europe. And I think that was in the late 1800s when that was put into place. It's absolutely beautiful, wonderful restaurants there, wonderful little shops and boutiques. So it's a fun place to wander through. But one of the things that we're going to get to do is, and something I have not done, is that we're going to be able to see The Last Supper by Leonardo da Vinci. And that will be just an incredible experience. And this will be one of the many times that we will be looking at some pieces of art that are just exemplary in world art. And so we will not only see the piece of art, but we'll also visit the villa that he was working in or living in while he was painting, and see what that was like, and maybe visit his little vineyard that's still going in the backyard. And I think he was painting in the 1600s. And I think that's right, or pretty close to that. And so that's a long time for a vineyard to go. So then I think that's the part of the morning. That's I think a 4-hour tour and of some of the highlights of Milan.
And then, well, there'll be a stop for lunch, and then in the afternoon, Carole.
Right. So this is something I didn't get to do. I didn't take cooking classes per se. And I'll tell you why, because many of the places that I would go, they would say, oh, we can't possibly tell you the recipe or we'd have to kill you. So we had, so I was not given some of these recipes, but I have replicated them in my book. So, but one of the things that we will get to do there in Milan is we have not only professional tour guides leading us in the morning, but a professional cooking crew that is going to be teaching us in the afternoon. And I think some of the Italian specialties from the Milan area is risotto with saffron. And I'm telling you this about risotto because in northern Italy, they had more, I think it was I don't know if it's the Po Valley, but anyway, it's one of the valleys where they grow more rice than they do wheat. So you always, that's the first time that you're going to learn that everything is regional. The foods that they choose are regional or local and seasonal. So whatever we do, we're going to be experiencing that how they live. And so that's one of the wonderful things. They also make a wonderful ossobuco. And of course, there's going to be a dessert, and I'm not sure what that's going to be. That's going to be a surprise. But like I said, everywhere we go, we're going to have, I think, 4 or 5 different cooking classes, and they will all be based on what's in season and what's available, maybe in their own gardens or whatnot. And so this is the joy. This is the great experience.
What a fabulous first day. I mean, this is just setting the pace for the rest of the trip. So we'll have had that wonderful time in Milan. So now goodbye to Milan and on to Florence. So there'll be a travel day, and you'll be going in your own private minibus as a group. Everything will be just together as a group. So Carole, what's it going to be like the day in transitioning from Milan to Florence?
Well, this is rather exciting because we're going to be coming through the area of Romana, and it's actually just north of Florence. So it's in between Milan and Florence, but this is the area where you would find either the Pecorino cheeses or the Parmesan Reggiano cheeses, and the marvelous 150-year-old balsamic vinegars that are just pure gold, and also about that expensive. So this is the area. Their specialties are also some of these wonderful meats, and cold cutlets is what we're going to be experiencing. And this is actually at a farm that is just on the outskirts of Modena. And so this is where we will sample some of those wonderful products from the area.
What a great way to go from Milan to Florence. And I just learned that Modena is where Ferrari, the car, is from, and the designer of Ferrari cars. So I don't know, maybe if we had time, we could swing by and just see where that is if people were interested. But God, there's so many exciting, beautiful things and coming from Italy. Okay, so now we've arrived in Florence, and you'll check into your lovely hotel. You can kind of see what your room is like and what the lobby is like, and you'll have some time to maybe wander around a little bit on your own before we have our next day. And so this will be our day in Florence. And Florence is a fabulous city, UNESCO World Heritage Site. So Carole, tell us a little bit. And I just want to preface, Carole is not only a fabulous writer and chef in her own right, but she also is very much into history and architecture. So you're going to get a very amazing experience traveling with Carole and Winston. So Carole, tell us a little bit more about Florence.
Well, before we came to Florence, in fact, Florence was our goal when we were taking this month-long trip. And that's what we did. We took a month-long trip one September. And we had taken a marvelous class called what was it called? It was about the masterpieces, what makes the Western civilization. And that was starting from the Greeks up through the Italian Renaissance and into the current time. But one of the main things, the instructor that we had at Stanford had lived in Florence, and so he thought this was the belly button of the universe. And so we focused on Florence. Florence has the wonderful sculptors like Michelangelo, and plus Leonardo da Vinci lived there, and there's pieces of art from them. Bruno Leschi and Botticelli and Donatello, and you'll see parts of that and experience some of that. And that's something, it would be good if you did some of your own research before you came, so you know what you're looking at, although we will have wonderful tour guides that will bring us through there. And so that's, we also were interested in the writers, because I'm a writer. And so we checked into where Petrarch lived, and Dante and Boccaccio. And so, you know, it's all there, and it is so exquisite. So here is the birthplace of the Italian Renaissance. It is at its best, and we get to be part of that. But that's just a little piece of it. We also get to take a food tour. And it's called, what is it called? The Taste of Florence?
Yeah.
I think so. So again, being and I have been back to Florence now many times and traveled with culinarians and chefs and from the US and cooking teachers. And we've gone through Florence and stayed there and tested and tasted all their foods, you know, many of their foods there. But one of the things that I'm always gearing to, and in all my 6 books, what I write about is traditional foods, not the haute cuisine, which is the high, very difficult things to prepare at home, but the things that normally the normal common man can make at home. And so that's what is very particular to Florence, because they use all local foods, and they use things like beans. Bean soup is a big deal. The ribollita is just exquisite soup, and you'd think, why this? But you taste it with their herbs and their spices, and you know there's a difference. And so you also maybe taste the tagliatelle pasta, which is sometimes smothered in porcini mushrooms or truffles, black or white. And that's black or white depending on the season. So that's a fun thing to experience. And I happen to really love the fall, and here we'll be in the fall, and experiencing these wonderful, rich, mushroomy flavors that are so prevalent in the fall time foods. So this is going to be part of what you're going to experience here. And there's also, plenty of tomato sauces, and that because this is what they do. They have wonderful Papa al Pomodoro sauces on everything. And they also use a lot of rabbit or chingali, which is wild boar meat. So this is what you're going to find. And let's see, I think that we will be tasting some of these different things, and you'll get a sense of what is prominent there and what's important to the people there. Now look at this picture though, because I want you to see that our hotel is right there on the Arno. And so that's the Arno River that goes under the Ponte Vecchio, which is the most famous bridge there. And we walk across, it's a walking bridge. And and the history in this town is just extraordinary. So just prepare yourself, gird your loins, because this is an incredible city to visit.
And how are we going to end the day, Carole?
How are we?
And the academia with the Michelangelo's David, the most famous statue.
Yes. So, and that's part of the tour that we're going to be given. And I think that we end up, and you learn a lot about the Medici family or the Medici family, and that they were the ones prominent for hiring all of these exquisite artists. And the things you ask about, why is the art so incredible? It's because they were paid well and there was no time limit on it. And so if you have that to go with, then you're in good stead. And that's why they were able to do and accomplish so many of the things. And there were so many artists there that were learning alongside. So we'll be able to go to the Piazza della Signora, and that's where you'll see the statue of Michelangelo, or of David. And then hopefully we get a chance to see there's a Cherubini Conservatory, which has one of the Stradivarius' earliest violins. Being Italian, he lived not far away. I think he wasn't far from Modena. So you get a chance to do all of that. And that's in one day.
Wow. So that's going to be an amazing day. And I just want to add, Carole talked about rabbit and some of the pork things, and I think there's a great beef steak that they do, but
Yes.
we can accommodate anyone's dietary restrictions or allergies or anything. So don't be concerned about that if you're not a meat eater or you're gluten-free, and Italy has gotten amazingly talented in gluten-free pastas. You wouldn't even know the difference. So all you need to do is let us know, and we will make those accommodations, and you will be able to partake in all the meals and the cooking classes and everything, and just according to what your needs and desires are. Okay, so what a fabulous day in Florence. I mean, my goodness, going to get a good night's sleep. And you will have free time for dinners on your own and some lunches and things like that. So you will be able to try some of these different delicacies along the way. So what a fabulous time in Florence. And now we're going to go off to Tuscany, and we're going to go to the Chianti region. And so it's going to be a special day going from Florence to where we're going to be in Chianti. So Carole, tell us a little bit about what this transition will be like.
Well, this is the Chianti region is just south of Florence, and I'm from the Midwest. I need to tell you that I'm going to be pointing in directions that I think that you need to go, like north, south, east, and west. So if I start talking in those points of direction, then that's me. That's what I do. But this is it's important to me to point up to these beautiful hills that are to the south of Florence. And as you climb up in the hills, they're verdant green and rolling hills, and you're surrounded by lush vineyards. And this will be about the time that they would be harvesting. It's all dependent on the year. The harvest year round or worldwide, it's always dependent on what the weather's been, and it has been changing, as we know, and so it's changing there too. So we'll get a chance to see what's going on for them. But they have gorgeous vineyards and cellars, and we'll be able to go to a couple of wineries and taste wines in a number of these different areas. And one of the things that is unique about Chianti wines is Chianti is a well-regarded wine. And I think many of us think about the Lambrusco or some of the wines that came in the baskets of the 60s. And no, this is very, very highly regarded. And so one of the things that you can look for as you're prowling through your own wine stores is that you look for the Black Rooster, which denotes that it is the best of the best of Chianti wines. And we'll hear all about the history and all of the fights that made this possible. But this is a well thought over section that has some of the very best wines in the world. So this will be fun. This will be fun.
What a great day. Wine tasting and a lunch in the area. How fabulous. So after getting there, this is where you will arrive. This is our villa in Chianti. And you can see how lovely it is and a sample of the kinds of rooms that are available there. So that's where you will rest your head after you've had some wonderful wine tasting on the way there. So the next day, well, here we are in Tuscany, and we're staying in have a cooking class in a Tuscan villa. So what will that be like, Carole?
Well, this is a wonderful thing. And I laugh because I look at this picture, and my husband and I have as of late, really started doing a lot of homemade pastas. So this is going to be fun to do this again. And you learn how to make it. You see how they have the knives, they're hand cutting. And so that's the traditional way, of course, of doing this and rolling it out. And we'll get a chance to learn about how to make the pastas and the sauces. So the ragu, which is in the foreground, is actually the sauce. If you hear about that word, you're going to think something that comes out of a can or a jar, but no, ragu is really their meat sauce. And so there might be wild rabbit or something like that. And again, it's, you choose what you can eat and taste and do, and they'll accommodate. So that's not a problem. We will be taught by another wonderful local chef. And this is the thing that I love the most, is that these people are giving us the most traditional recipes and their time. And most of the ingredients are probably grown right in the backyard. So although, maybe not the flour. So anyway, it should be a wonderful thing to do, and we're looking forward to it. Again, I didn't get a chance to do all of these wonderful cooking classes there. I've done them since I've come home, but not there. And in a villa, this will be just fun, just fun.
In a villa with our professional chef. How fabulous is that? Okay, so now we've had a wonderful time in the Tuscan countryside, and we stayed in a villa, did a cooking class in a villa. Now it's time to move on to Rome. So tell us a little bit about what that day will be like and what happens when we arrive in Rome.
Well, this is going to be a fun packed day too. So first of all, we will be going to the Villa Farnesina, and it's in the area of the Trastevere area of Rome. It's kind of the downtown section, part of the downtown section of Rome, but some of the oldest. And so this area, going to this particular villa, is like it says here, it's off the beaten path, and it is an incredible place. I think it has Raffaello painting
Frescoes, yeah.
frescoes throughout the entire villa. And so you have a whole different view of, we just were in a villa, we're going to visit this one. It is quite different, and you'll get to enjoy that. Then after that, then we'll be going also in the Trastevere area down to Rome's, it says the trendiest night spot. And according to what I have found, and I have never been here, so it's more like Rome's answer to the left bank. And so this is a wonderful, charming area that has lots and lots of shops that are open. So you have a particular chance to go through the food markets, as we will have done also in Florence, but we are doing it here, and maybe through they have all kinds of craft markets, and then we'll have dinner in a lovely restaurant that's down in that area. So it should be just wonderful.
Yeah, what an exciting area. This is, you'll really get to experience Rome like a Roman. This is where the locals go for dinner and everything else. So this is where you will rest your head that night in the beautiful Donna Camilla Savelli Hotel. And you can see how beautiful the lobby is. It's really impressive, and a sample of what the rooms look like. So this will be your hotel in Rome. And the next day, I mean, when in Rome, there are some amazing things that, you know, are just the history and the iconic structure. So tell us a little bit more about what this day will be like, Carole.
Okay, now one thing I wanted to mention is that we will be in that hotel for 3 nights. So we have a lot to see and do in Rome. And when in Rome, you go visit the Forum and the Colosseum. And even if you've been there before, it's always good to go with a good tour guide and have the personal attention that will be given as we go through these wonderful, marvelous historic places. And do take some time and read up on some of these areas, get your history behind you, know about Cicero, understand what was going on at this time, because it'll make it live. And you'll have a better sense of what was happening here and what was important. And what is the Forum? Well, it's your market. It's your marketplace. Did you know that? No, maybe not, but you will learn all these different things and how important it was. I think the Romans were viable for over 800 years. So this is one of the major spots, and you can find Roman ruins probably all over Europe and all over Turkey and into what they call Asia. And but the best Colosseum and the best ruins are right here in Rome.
Hey, well, that's an amazing, you know, it's interesting to see the history and how far back it goes and how this all is brought forward into our modern time. It really gives you a sense of the whole experience of Italy. So that was a great day. And then here we are in Rome, and we get to go to another country, the Vatican, while we're in Rome. Tell us a little bit more about that, Carole.
Oh, this is an incredible experience. I quite honestly, my husband and I, when we got to Rome, we were not really interested in Rome so much because we were staying in all these other smaller villages and throughout Italy. And when we hit Rome, we just fell in love with it and just loved the energy and loved all of the history here. And so this building is just incredible because of the historic piece to St. Peter. But it's also a place where they have the Sistine Chapel, which is just exquisite. And anytime you get a chance to go there, this is what you want to see, or I want to see, because it has the history of, you know, Michelangelo's painting. Now, he is a sculptor, but he was forced by the Pope to paint this particular ceiling, which took years, but he was laying on his back, and I think it's like, I don't know, 60 feet up, and laying on a scaffolding for years trying to paint. And it's just breathtaking, just breathtaking. And the only thing that you want to do is to move people out of your way and lay down on your back so you can look up and really enjoy it, because it is so marvelous. So there's wonderful, beautiful pieces throughout that whole area by many famous artists. But he was one of them, one of the many. And so then we will be able to go into some of the museums that are connected here. And that's what the Egyptian Museum is incredible. The Etruscan Museum is very interesting. And my husband and I had done tromping around some of the Etruscan ruins in Tuscany. And because what does the word Tuscany come from but Etruscan? And so it was long there before the Romans. And so it's one is feeding to the civilization of the next. And so this is what we were tracking. And so anyway, that was, we see they have the galleries of the maps. They have the Raphael rooms. They have, like I said, the tapestry rooms. So they're all different. It's a huge, huge space. And so we will take time to do that. And again, we will be with a guided or a tour guide that will really pinpoint what is the most impressive, because it's so vast. You need to have someone show you the way. So then we're going to go down into the St. Peter's Basilica, which I wasn't expecting to be bowled over, but I was. It is just a fantastic, beautiful, beautiful, exquisite building. And what it means to the world's Catholics and to Christians the world over, it still remains there. And suddenly you realize if you ever were a Christian once, this is where it started. This is where a lot of it started. And so it's a very, very beautiful place. And one of the things that was most breathtaking was the Pieta, also a sculpture by Michelangelo. And if anything takes your breath away and brings you to your knees, it is that sculpture. And so you get a sense of the majesty, the beauty, the serenity. It's quiet. And, it is a church. It is a cathedral, but it's the basilica. And I don't know if we will go down below the basilica. That's where I think that's where they have the bodies down below the graves, and haven't spent much time there. But I did go. If you look at this picture, you look up at the top of the crown of that building. And so my husband said, "Oh, you go ahead," handed me this very heavy video camera. And that was obviously back in the 90s. And so I climbed up there. And so how do you climb up there? How do you walk through that? Because it's rounded. Well, the walls are rounded. And so but you're walking in between two sets of, walls, and you're winding up, up, up. And the people that are coming down are doing a different spiral the other way. And so you don't even meet them. You don't even see them. But when you get to the top where that white part is, where it's glowing, is about the last, I would say 10, 15 feet. You have to pull yourself up on a rope. So be prepared. And and you don't rush to get down because it took you so long to get up. So, but the view is just incredible. And so it's a fun thing that we may or may be able to do. It's up to you. But it's an immense place. It is a city unto itself. Actually, it's a nation unto itself. So this is where the Pope is, and we probably won't see him, but this is where he lives and where all of the Catholic legislation takes place.
Yeah, so what an amazing day. And, just as any iconic place like that, sometimes there are limitations that vary from day to day about where you can go and what you can see. So, but in every place that we will be, as Carole had mentioned, we have our own private guides who are experts in the different things that we're going to be seeing. So when we're in the Vatican, it's going to be someone who is, an expert in art and history and the Vatican. So we are just going to have the most amazing tour guides and the most amazing experience. So another fabulous day. Okay, here we're still in Rome, and it's another area, another region, another kind of food tradition. So what will this be like, Carole?
Well, this is going to be fun also because as I'm saying, every single region that we go through, we experience all different kinds of traditional foods. And in Rome, you eat what's Roman. And so this is one of their favorite things. And so they have a little bit heavier foods, but we will be able to take a cooking class here and they'll teach us all of the wonderful foods. But I think one of the things that they're famous for is, let me look. So I looked this up. The saltimbocca, maybe you are familiar with that. That is the crispy prosciutto over tender veal meat or chicken meat, and it has a silky white wine sauce, or maybe it could even be capers. And or you have the Jewish fried artichokes, or the porchetta, which is pork, and or the spaghetti carbonara. You're probably familiar with that, which is bacon, eggs, cheese mixed into the hot pasta. And that's fun to do. That's fun to make. And the carbonara is referring to the type of bacon. And that is very different than the bacon that we experience here. And that's part of the wonder and beauty of Rome, is that they have all these wonderful, wonderful meats that they are bringing into, from the valleys surrounding them. So it's lamb, beef, not so much beef, more pork, and because that's the bacon, and pork jowl, guanciale, which is the some of the wild boar also, and then they're not that far from the Tyrrhenian Sea, so they have plenty of fresh fish that they bring in. So we will get to try or sample or learn how to prepare one of these many dishes.
And I hear Carol tell us sambuco and carbonara and all these dishes that you read on in a menu in an Italian restaurant. But now you will know specifically this food comes from Milan, this food comes from Rome, this food comes from Tuscany. So you'll be a lot more sophisticated connoisseur of Italian food after this trip. So another wonderful cooking, fabulous day. So now we have to say goodbye to Rome and we'll head south to Sorrento. Sorrento is kind of the tip of the Amalfi Coast, kind of the gateway, so to speak. So Carol, what is it going to be like when we leave Rome and we head towards Sorrento?
So en route, we're going to be stopping on Mount Vesuvius, or just on the side of the slopes of Mount Vesuvius. And we're going to have a lovely little luncheon at a farm that's near there. Now, you see the tomatoes here. This is very, very important to what they grow there. The San Marzano tomatoes there are just exquisite, and you can find them. It's the kind of the best of the best tomatoes, and sometimes you find these cans of San Marzano tomatoes in the store. Well, they're a lot more expensive because the idea is that they come from here. So a lot of it is all the produce is influenced by the volcanic soil, as are the vineyards. And so everything is influenced one onto the other, because they eat what they grow, and what is local and seasonal. So we will also be able to taste the buffalo mozzarella. And I have been to a buffalo mozzarella farm and watched them milking the mother water buffaloes, and then watch them make these buffalo mozzarella balls. So it's really quite an intriguing thing. I don't know that we'll get to see that, but we will get to taste it, and that's even better. So that's part of what we're going to be experiencing en route to Sorrento.
Wow, every day, even the travel days are exciting and have wonderful things happening. So you'll end up in Sorrento. This is the hotel, the Grand Hotel de la Villa. And you will see the Sorrento is a hilly, And so you can see that we're a little bit above, and you can see out towards the ocean and how beautiful the water is and what a lovely room that we'll have at this hotel. So now we're going to be in Sorrento, which is near Naples. And tell us about pizza, Carol.
Okay, so one of the things about Sorrento and back in that picture that we saw of the from the hotel, you're looking across the Bay of Naples to Naples and also to Mount Vesuvius. So you get a sense of where you are. Sorrento is on a peninsula that is the Amalfian Peninsula, and it kind of sticks out into the sea and is just one of the most picturesque, beautiful places to be. But one of the fun things about having a pizza class near Naples is because it came from the pizza came from Naples, Neapolitan. That is the same word. It's from Naples, and so it's a wonderful place. And I like to tell this story. One time I was there with a whole 65 of us from the States. We were culinarians, the same group that had been traveling around. And we were being taught how to make the real pizza. Now, these were chefs from New York City restaurants, and they're being taught how to make the real pizza. And so we're in this big auditorium, and we're smelling all of these wonderful pizzas being made in a pizza oven that's just outside the door. We can see it. We can see the sparks flying. We know that it's a wood burning little oven on a back of a trailer. And we can smell the wonderful savory sauces that are going on to the pizzas. And this is going to be our dinner. So we're excited about that. Yes, we focus on, okay, how do you make pizza? And so we were in Salerno at the time, which is just it's where Naples reaches the continent again and then becomes the Amalfi Coast. So it's right at that corner, that juxtaposition. And so we're real close. And so we're in there, and there's a woman who's from the US, and she's the translator for this chef. And she's talking to him and turning to the audience and expressing what's going on. And he's standing there proudly in his little toque and giving the all how this is done and what you need to do, what kinds of flour, da 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 da. And all of a sudden they get in the middle of the talk, and she looks at him, and she looks at the audience, and she looks at him, and she just blanches. And all of a sudden, about 4 or 5 really big men in black leather jackets in the crowd moved toward the stage. And all of a sudden, the toque is flying, and out the door goes the little chef. And we can see the flames and the fire going down the street. There goes our dinner. And we're not sure what's going on. As it turns out, this little chef was bold enough to come to the Naples or Neapolitan area to teach their specialty, but he was from northern Italy. And you do not cross those lines. And we learned right away, this is how it's done. So anyway, it was an incredible story. And it shows how important this particular pizza is to this area. They will do everything to defend it. So this will be fun to learn how to make these wonderful pizzas here.
Well, you'll have a real Neapolitan pizza master teaching you. No black jackets here.
No, nope. Nope.
Okay, so that'd be a great day. Oh my God, great pizza. So now we'll have a day going down the Amalfi Coast. The Amalfi Coast is probably one of the most breathtaking, beautiful photographed places in the world. So Carol, tell us a little bit what we might do that day.
Well, I think this area of Amalfi was my husband and one of our very, very favorites. And we actually stayed in Amalfi in a hotel called the Amalfi Hotel. And that was clever. And we didn't have tour guides. So it was, we got to learn a little bit on our own, but we also were taking some wonderful historic tours, walking tours, and that kind of thing. But the thing about this area is it's just exquisitely beautiful. And just not too far off the coast from here is Capri. And sometimes you can take little tours over to the island of Capri. But the one thing that you're going to see is a lot of these enormous lemons. And the lemons are almost as large as grapefruits. And this is what they have cultivated over the centuries, because this is something that they can do. And you see the terraced hills up there behind the buildings, and they have to climb way, way, way up there to cultivate those. And then in the past, the young girls would put these lemons on their back in a backpack and run down the hill as fast as they could so that their family could get the lemons shipped away and they would get paid. And so it was all about the women running down the hills and trying to provide, for the family. And so the people that live close to the sea ate seafood. That was what they had most of. Those that lived clear up in the hills, there were no roads at the time. And so they ate what was available. And you'll find in Italy, many times they would, I know in Liguria, they talked about prebigion, which was all thistles and that type of almost a weed that you would stuff into your ravioli, because that's what they had. And so, or the goat cheese or something like that. So you learn that everything is regional, local, and seasonal for how they existed and what was important.
The original farm to table.
Yes, yes.
That's exactly. So tell us a little bit about the most famous product that comes from the Amalfi lemon.
Well, like my husband says, if you have limoncello, which is a wonderful digestif, and it's very, very strong, but it's just an incredible taste. And my husband says you need to be within crawling distance of your nearest bed, and because it's very strong, and it's a joke, but it is a wonderful, wonderful, delectable taste. And the Amalfi lemons are made into this limoncello. And I think we'll get a chance to go to some of the gardens and the farms where they're processed and made into limoncello. We'll learn how to make limoncello, and then of course we have to taste it.
Of course. And then crawl to your bed.
Yes.
But fortunately, we'll have a bus to take you there.
Yes, 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 thank you.
All right. Well, it's getting to be towards the end of this tour, but we're back. We're going to leave Sorrento and we're going to get you back to Rome to be able to fly home. But we're still going to have a fabulous day on the way. So Carole, what's that going to be like?
Well, I'm excited about this too, because we're going to stop in Pompeii. And when my husband and I did this before, we were with tens of thousands of our closest friends. It was just buses and buses of people that you were herded in and herded out. We will have our own private tour guide. This is a blessing and worth everything that, we're putting into this, because there is so much wonderful history here. And sometimes they start out walking you down to where the original, where the launches, the ships would come in and bring food, or they would take products out of there. Now, if you look at that place, that is now 5 miles out, because the sea has gone out that far. And so that's kind of a fun thing to look at, how climate change is something that we look at now and think that it just started now. No, it's always been ongoing. But the thing about Pompeii is that you will be able to go in and out of some of these villas, and they still have some of the incredible artwork on the floors. And some of the frescoes are still on the walls, and they just have gone through this new exploration and have dug up more, and so they have a much more to show us. And it's an incredible experience, because the history is so deep. Now, one of the things that I found fascinating about this is that these homes were the homes of, this was kind of like the summer home for the Romans. And they even had their own private libraries. Now, that might sound odd to you, or like, so what? But this was the first time that anything was ever mentioned that anyone ever had their own private library. And so then after Vesuvius, a lot of that was buried. And so then there's still uncovering that and finding out what on earth was there. And so it's just an incredible time to, if you're a historian or love this type of history, it is a wonderful experience. So we'll spend a few hours there, and then we go on to Caserta and for the farewell dinner. And this is at Le Colon, which is I think it's like a 3 or 4 star restaurant. It is an incredible restaurant there in Caserta. So it's not just going and having a quick little bite before we head out.
We're not stopping at a truck stop.
Yeah. So it's going to be an incredible last fast. So anyway.
So it'll be a wonderful dinner, and everybody will get to share their wonderful memories and think about all the wonderful new friends you've made and the wonderful new dishes you're going to try when you get back home and to your friends and your family. And we will end up at the Rome airport because most people will be flying home from Rome the next day, and it'll just be easier to have you there. So you'll be at the Hilton, the Rome airport, lovely room. And it'll be very easy for the next morning because you'll just hop on the shuttle from the hotel to your airline, and you'll get to say goodbye to a fabulous, wonderful time full of memories, new friends, new connections, and head on home. So we'll wish you, safe travels and take home many wonderful souvenirs and recipes. So, since it's the holiday season, I would like to offer a gift to everyone who books their space, signs up by January 4th, $100 per person off on the cost of the trip. And I will put in the chat box, I will put a link to where there's a sign up and, again, all the day-by-day details of this trip. And Carole has offered for everyone who signs up by January 4th, she's going to give you a gift of the book, A September to Remember.
A signed book.
A signed book. So there you go. So you'll have her recipes and all the things, and it'll be a wonderful kind of pre-trip thing. So I encourage you to sign up by January 4th, get the discount, and also get the gift. So just before we have a chance to look at any questions or whatever, just my information. My email is very easy, info@wemaketraveleasy.com. And I am going to see if we have any questions in the chat. I don't see any right now, so I guess Carole and I did a really good job, but I am going to take a minute and I'm going to copy where is it here? Okay, I'm going to copy the link for, hang on just 1 second until I get to that. See, this is when I usually have an assistant to do that, and it makes it a little easier, but I'm on my own right now, so I appreciate your patience.
So you're getting the link for.
I'm getting the link, so it'll be
a $100 discount.
No, I'm getting the link to sign up for the.
Okay, perfect.
So here it's copied. Okay, I should be able to put it in here now. There it is. So the link is in there now. So later on you can copy it and you can click on that and you can go straight to the website. But if you, for some reason, you can't copy it or whatever, if you go to my website, wemaketraveleasy.com, and you enter the website, there is a tabs across the top that says join a tour. And then you'll see the kitchens in Italy or travel with Carole or something like that. Click on that and you will be right where you need to be. So Carole and I want to thank you so much for taking your time out during the busy holiday season. We loved having you. Carole and Winston would love to have you come. The trip again is September 8th. Starts on September 8th. You would leave the US on the 7th. And the group size will be 16, including Carole and Winston. So 14 guests and Carole and Winston. So it's a small group, a lot of attention, private guides, private transportation. It's going to be a fabulous experience. So happy holidays, happy new year, and Carole and Winston look forward to traveling with you in September. Take
Right,
care.
right, absolutely.
Bye.
Bye-bye.